Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today is the owner and founder of GoNaked Magazine, Vannello. Thanks for coming to the Sanctuary today.
Thanks for having me, Israel. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but I need to know what's the story behind the name GoNaked?
So, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing a lot of businesses for a long time. And I was on a contract in Charlotte a number of years ago, like 8, 9 years ago. And I needed something to keep me occupied during the evening, something creative. And at that time, digital publishing was a new thing. So I wanted to learn how to do that. And I just happened to run into somebody who had also started a magazine that was really successful. So we sat down for coffee and he's like, just do it. Just make all the mistakes and do it and learn as you go. And I was like, well, I've got a couple different ideas. And he's like, what's going to be the most fun to write about? And because I've been doing naked stuff on and off for a number of years, I was like, I could do the naked thing. And he's like, all right, do that. And there was a magazine years ago in the early 90s called Naked Magazine that went out of business. And it was really pretty awesome. But they were nowhere to be found. So I was like, okay, I'll just do my own thing. And then I did it basically to learn how to do the magazine. And I ran it for a couple of years and took a break and then came back and did it again. And it has been just about my full-time job for the last 4 years.
Wow. And did you I'm guessing when you started out, you did most of the work needed for the magazine. Do you still do that now?
Yeah, there's me and there's one other guy who is in Pakistan who helps me with layout. And I've been working with this young man for a number of years. I asked him to help me with the website years ago. And he's like, when the project was done, he's like, do you have any other work for me? And I was like, culturally, I know that this is going to be like really weird. I'm not sure if this is cool with you. And I sent him over the concept and a sample magazine. He's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with this at all. Just send me the work. So, and he's been terrific to work with. And I get to learn about his culture. He's learning about the US. And as soon as everything is done disease-wise and we can travel safely again, we are really looking forward to meeting up. So,
actually we met on already talking about businesses I make about 10K a month. And your reply was like, this is what I do, this is how I do it, and this is how I started. I liked how detailed it was. Then talking to you, finding out you're a serial entrepreneur. How did that entrepreneurship spirit get into you?
My dad, I got it from my dad. So I thought everybody lived like this. Growing up, my dad owned a carpet shop, but he also loved Italian food because I'm adopted, but I was adopted into an Italian family. Yeah. And so we were always cooking. And so when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old, my dad decided to open up a restaurant with absolutely no restaurant experience whatsoever. Right. Usually somebody who opens a restaurant has been a waiter or has been a cook. Not my dad. Nothing. Yeah. Okay. So he opened it up and ran 2 businesses that literally the brick and mortars were next door to each other. And my mom would work in the restaurant and my dad would work in the carpet shop. And when the carpet was done, he'd go over to the restaurant and he just worked like a dog. And he was always doing something, hustling for a buck. And they raised me with a lot of curiosity and I guess it's in my blood or it was taught to me. So yeah.
And what do you love about it?
My favorite part of the entire thing is the startup phase. I love the ideas. I love creating who my audience is going to be, what the feeling is, what the vibe is going to be, how I'm going to serve people. I love all of that. That's my favorite part. The part that I hate is when it gets really stagnant and it's the same thing over and over. That drives me insane. So I've been keeping the magazine fresh by doing new things, such as offering naked travel. We just started that last year. whenever there's something new tech-wise,
Mm.
and my audience tends to skew a little older, 50 and up. Whenever there's something tech-wise that's new, such as Telegram, for example, or I'm trying to think what else might be out there. TikTok. I'm always inviting them in to learn the technology. And then in turn, that ends up making them cooler with their friends, their family, their kids, whatever.
Mm.
So I was an educator for 30 some odd years in the corporate world. So I love teaching other people stuff. And that all fits into it.
Mm. And it's digital, so COVID didn't really affect much of what you do, right? Or
No, actually, it helped me because everybody was home, and we had to do this thing with the Zoom, and so we started setting up a big digital community. I'd always been the magazine's purpose was to connect people anyway. So now we do a lot of Zooms. So every Friday there's a coffee talk where you jump on Zoom with me from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern, and there's a topic of the week, and we talk about that topic usually. Then there's a whole bunch of other related topics. So we've got one guy who does a sports chat every other week. We've got a guy who does a grief and bereavement group every couple of weeks. We've got on every Saturday, we've got a guy who is visually impaired who does a differently abled group. And it's amazing the number of people who are differently abled who access the magazine. And it's been a great education because it's an audience I never thought about before. They're an invisible audience, but they've made themselves very vocal, and the education has been fantastic. There's a gaming group that gets together, and then sometimes we get together and just play games online. So, it's always about the connection.
You said community, entrepreneurship and community are things that have been standing out every time I talk to you. Do you see any correlation between the two?
Between community and entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of other naked organizations out there. All right. There's plenty of them. You can join any number of them. As far as naked male only groups, there's probably at least a dozen and a half. And I'm sorry if there's noise. We're doing a little construction in the back. But the one thing that I think separates us from the other groups is that I tend to be a whole body, whole spirit nudist, in the sense that anybody can take off their clothes. And then once you're in a group with other naked people, then what? Then what? Okay. So we delve into everything that makes you a human being, the spiritual side, the emotional side. We do a lot of mental health outreach. Finances. Nobody likes talking about finances because it's scary and taboo, but it is a part of who we are. So we talk about finances, and we just happen to be naked while we're doing it. Nourishment, the space that we are in, are we safe? Guys over 50 who feel like they've lost their path. So anybody can take off their clothes. That's super. It's what do you do once you get to that point? And as far as the entrepreneurship goes, people are purchasing the experience of, so each month I produce a magazine, a 200-page magazine that's $2 going up to $3 in January, or they can purchase an annual membership. But what they're really getting is the connection of the community. They're getting a bunch of resources, meeting a bunch of like-minded people. I do an annual poll. The number of men who identify as bisexual who follow me is now up to 12%. And I think we're around 3% straight, which is massive compared to what it was 5 years ago. There's a lot of men who are either closet nudists or who are married and closeted and don't want their wives and families to know about their inner desires or their inner workings or their inner thoughts. So we provide a place for them where they can meet other like-minded men. And let them know they're not the only ones out there. So yeah, they are buying that experience and that peace of mind. And yeah, so there you have it.
Community is important. So how did you become a nudist?
You take off your clothes. End of interview. No, so it's really interesting because in most nudist communities, you're gonna hear that there's no sex allowed. You're not allowed to talk about sex whatsoever. And I'm a realist. Okay, I'm 57. I know that sex is a part of a lot of people's lives, and so we tend to break down our community into three different groups. There's the naturalists, the people who feel that they were born this way and they should live this way, and they commune with nature and they are naked every opportunity. And if there were no laws, they would be naked 24/7. There are the nudists who are situationally naked. So they go when they're home. It's a situation where they're comfortable and it's legal, so they get naked there, or they go out to a campground, or they go to a vacation spot and they are naked there. And then finally, there's the exhibitionists, and they usually get a thrill from being seen naked. And we advocate that that's completely okay as long as you are not breaking the law. We will not advocate breaking the law. So we take this three-pronged approach where everybody is welcome. And I get naked not because I think I have a terrific body, not because I'm Mr. Naked. As you can tell right now, I'm clothed and I'm perfectly okay with this. I get naked because I have my own body issues, just like so many people. Okay, I have my own body issues. I graduated high school at 6 foot tall, which I am now, at 102 pounds, right? Which is really, really skinny. And then over time, I have more than doubled that number. So why do I get naked? I get naked because it makes me uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. And if I can do that scary thing and put myself into a situation where it is scary for 5 minutes and then it's not a big deal, then I can do other scary things. I can have difficult conversations with people. I can apply for big bank loans. I can do scary things that make me uncomfortable. And so challenging myself is the reason I personally get naked, but everybody has their own reasons why they like to do it. It's fun, it's freeing, they like the thrill of it, they love seeing other people naked. It's all, for every single person, it's going to be different.
Okay, I can't get my eyes off what's behind you. What's the story behind those guys there?
So there is St. Aloysius and St. Stanislaus. There's a church across the street from me, and I'll try to tell this story really, really quickly. There was a house up the street that was for sale, belonged to one of the priests from this church. He died, left it to one of his parishioners. We're not sure why. She was a pack rat. She died. She left the house to an estranged daughter from Arizona. The daughter comes up and it is floor to ceiling junk. And she tells the realtor, just sell it. So my buddy from up the street buys the house for $14,000, basically sight unseen, and starts pulling out the old woman's newspapers and crafts and stuff, and finally gets down to all of the priest stuff that he had there. And he had statues, he had the rosary beads from the nuns, he had the censers, he had all the stuff, catalogs, all kinds of interesting stuff. And he calls me up and he's like, I was raised Episcopalian. I have no idea who these people are. Do you want these? And so we're like, yes. So I was raised Catholic, but I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. But from a purely historical point of view and from an art point of view, they fit. And I love the stories of St. Aloysius. He's the one with the cap. My friends like to dress up my statues. He's the one there. He's normally looking at a big gold cross, but that was yanked out of his hands many, many years ago before I got him, because he wanted to remain pure. So we always looked at this cross. And then the other one, St. Stanislaus with the baby Jesus, is the patron saint of Poland. So I guess maybe they posed for this when Jesus as a child visited Poland. I'm not sure what the story is there.
Yeah, it's really striking. How long have you had it now?
They've been in the house at least 25 years. They got
Mm.
rented out to I don't rent them out anymore, but they got rented out to like a B grade horror film that needed them. So they loaded them up in a truck, they took them away, they did scary, horrible things, and now they're back. I've never seen the horror film. So.
So let's talk about the magazine a bit more. You're pretty much running this thing and it's subscription based. Do you like do any advertising in the magazine, and like what marketing do you do for the magazine, or is it all word of mouth?
It's really interesting because people think because you're selling skin that it's going to be so easy to sell. And it is not, because everywhere you turn, organizations have really strict terms and conditions. Like on Instagram, I've got to be very careful on what I show. Facebook doesn't allow me at all. Stripe, PayPal, all of those payment processors, as soon as they saw the content, they banned all of my accounts, even the ones that were just associated, my personal accounts, because
Wow.
they were associated with my social security number. So advertising is really, really difficult. So you kind of have to go to other, in my case, gay resources, and advertise there. And it's tough. It's really, really tough. But fortunately, um, we get a lot of word of mouth, and the I do pretty good with SEO. So if folks are searching, I come up. We've got subscribers and readers in pretty much every country, including the Soviet Union, and we don't have anybody in Antarctica, unfortunately. But there's like the middle of Africa where I don't have anybody yet.
Oh wow.
So I will be very excited when those gentlemen finally show up. But you know, Singapore, Thailand, all of the Asian countries there, we've got at least a couple representatives, a good number of people in Australia. So they just kind of tell their friends, and that's how it all gets about.
Hmm. One thing about business is, especially a subscription based business, is to just keep them, subscribing every month or every year, whatever it might be. What are some of the approaches you take to that?
So it's really interesting. I recognize the fact that not everybody can afford either a $30 or a $59 subscription. Completely get it. Times are tough for a lot of people, including my customers. So I kind of break it down monthly what they're getting for that amount. Not only are they getting the current magazine, they're getting all of the previous stuff. But I also let them know the contribution that they're making to the community. Their money helps keep open all of the cool technology that we have. Like there's a member map. Well, that map costs me $30 a month to keep that running. There's other email servers and the website and the e-commerce site. Those all cost a lot of money. So it costs me anywhere from $600 to $1,200 a month just to keep the lights on. So I let them know that their subscription is not only getting them all of these cool things, but it's helping the business stay open, and you're also helping your fellow nudist who is going through a bit of a rough patch now, and you're helping them out. So you are certainly doing your part for the community. And it's true, I don't aim to be a rich man, but I would love extra money so I can continue to do wonderful things for people. And GoNaked does a lot of philanthropy work by giving to different AIDS charities, to giving to different organizations. And I like spreading that wealth around. So my dad was like that too. And I learned that generosity from him. So go figure.
Yeah, talking about generosity, you sometimes set up GoFundMe, and one of the coolest one was for this camp. I knew it was taken down like the ad because of Facebook. Do you want to talk a bit more about this camp and why you were interested in running the GoFundMe for the camp?
So you're talking about the show that was going
Show,
on.
sorry, yeah, but it has to
Okay,
be the name, yeah.
not an actual camp.
Yeah, yeah,
So I've been doing theater for a number of years. Surprise.
yeah.
And there was a show in New York City called Camp Morningwood.
Yep.
Wink, wink. And I reached out to the show and said I would love to help you guys. So we sponsored them for a couple of different runs, gave them money so that they could pay actors and keep the lights on. And then we did a GoFundMe because they wanted to take it to the next level, extend their run, and get the show in front of more eyes so that they could possibly extend that and tour with it. So we raised some money for them, and I got a chance to go to New York and see the show. It was campy, it was silly, it was very naked, and it was pretty much everything that you would expect a show like that to be. So, you're pretty sure.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the passion and the intensity you bring to GoNaked and the joy you also get from it is physically, like, it's visible from anyone talking to you.
So if you haven't guessed, I'm gay. Okay. I know it might be a shock, but I'm gay. All right. And so I went through that coming out process you come out all the time to new people. What was really, really interesting is I've been doing GoNaked now for 8 years. It's only been about the past 1.5 to 2 years where I have come out so that other people know I produce this magazine. I publish this magazine. I publish a men's nudist magazine. And I'm unapologetic about it now because I'm not doing anything wrong. I am doing something that brings me a lot of joy. I do something that people are curious about. And I've always been envious of people who create their own worlds. So, for example, there was this guy, Mel Odom, who was an artist back in the 80s. I first got to know his work. And he created this doll, think Barbie, but very glamorous 1930s, 40s. And he poured everything into this world, designing her, the movies that she was in, all of these costumes. He did not only release the dolls, but he did conventions. And he lived in this world that he created, and it was beautiful. And he invited other people there. I've been able to do the same thing with GoNaked. I have created this world where I get to craft how I want to spend my day, what I want to do to make a living, how I want to deliver my message. And people come to my world and they test it out. And if they like it, they stay. One of the things that I did a couple of years ago, are you familiar with Funko Pop? The little plastic? Okay. So Funko Pops are little vinyl dolls about that big. And everything under the sun, from sports figures to movie figures to cartoon characters, you name it, there's a Funko Pop for it. And every Sunday for about 1.5 years, I did the 10 minutes in bed with Nick and the Church of Funko. And I lay on my bed naked, butt up in the air, nothing more than that, and showcase one of these Funko Pops. And I would showcase it because, like the Catholic statues are to remind you of certain qualities. And so if you are looking to be chaste, you would take a look at St. Aloysius. Well, you can look at these same Funko Pops and assign different qualities to them. So, Mary Poppins, we talked about the importance of imagination. We talked about, Betty White from the Golden Girls, about how it was important to be naive sometimes and, tell great stories. We talked about Fred Rogers. We talked about Will Smith. And it was just wonderful to deliver a message like, a preacher every Sunday from the church of my bed. And that was a lot of fun. So again, it was part of my world and other people came in and joined. And I love that.
That's a beautiful answer. And that's something I'm actually going to steal because, you know, when you're working, yeah, I've actually not looked at it that way. When you're doing something you love, it's fun. Like, it's just fun. And it's a lot of work. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a lot of work. And I mean,
Absolutely.
you're making 200 pages every month. It's a lot of work. But while you're doing it, it's so much fun. And people might not understand it. So doing what I do and love, I can completely understand where you're coming from with Go Naked for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're a creator. I think all of us creators have our own little worlds, and I love that we have portals into each other's worlds. And I get to meet you, and hopefully our relationship continues after this. And I will
Definitely.
I will bop in and out of your world, and who knows, maybe you'll come over to my world for a little bit. So
Mm, mm.
all kinds of stuff are possible.
Okay, so we talked a while earlier, and you've been with your partner for how many years now?
I have to do math. We've been together since 1984. So what is that? 36,
Yeah,
37?
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
how?
how? Yeah. So for those of you who've never experienced a gay relationship before, it is just like straight relationships. Same sex, same problems. Doesn't matter. Okay. People are people. Um,
Right.
it works well because during those 38, 37 years, whatever it's been, um, he lives in Connecticut half the time. I live here. I travel frequently. He travels. So when you put all the time that we've actually been together under the same roof, it's really been like 6 weeks. So do yourself a favor, find a partner, and then leave them. It's perfect.
Yo, that story always cracks me up. I'm sorry. So Nick, we go naked. You're always reinventing things. You mentioned the travel, the new travel. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah. So God, where to begin? Um, so last year was my first trip. We went to Puerto Vallarta, stayed at this fabulous. Okay, so let's back up just a little bit. In the nudist community, for whatever reason, people love, love, love going to campgrounds. Okay, and they'll go camping and they'll stay in cabins. And my parents took me camping every weekend from the time I was 5 until I was 14. If I never see another campground, I will be a happy man. Okay. Somewhere around the age of 9, I was like, we live in a house where I have my bedroom. I can poop in a room where the door closes,
Yes.
and we can cook on a full size stove. Why are we going out to the box? It just seemed inhumane, you know. So I was like,
Right.
this is
Right.
awful. This is
Yes.
awful. Plus, there's the bugs and the heat. Just awful. So
Yes.
I know that I'm a pampered princess, but when I travel, I want to be like Cinderella. I want to go to the castle. I want to go to the ball, and I want to go enjoy myself. I may not be able to live there all the time, but by gum, I want to go visit that. I want to see what that's like.
Mm.
So I take guys on these upscale vacations, and in Vallarta, we go to this 5-level villa that is pushed inside the side of a mountain with 3 pools and a
Wow.
chef that cooks 2 meals a day, and there's room service, and the bar is open 24/7, and it's all included. We go to this remarkable 4-star restaurant while we're there, and that's what I wanted to give people was the experience of upgrading. I
Mm.
often, they often say that you need to find your passion and your purpose, and my passion has always been teaching, but my purpose is to give people permission.
Ah.
And that purpose of giving people permission to try something naked, try upgrading your life, those are really important to me because I want people not to be afraid, and
Mhm.
I am here with you. So I am giving you permission to do the scary things that you want to do, but you just need a fairy godmother next to you to kind of push you along. That's my role. So we've done Puerto Vallarta last year, yes, during COVID. We just got back from Puerto Vallarta the first week of November, and then I spent 2 extra weeks in Mexico. And I leave this Wednesday for Puerto Vallarta one more time and greeting guests there from Sunday until Saturday. Then next year, we'll do it again, but we're also going to Key West in May. And I'm hoping that if the World Naked Bike Ride happens in Portland, to take a group of guys there, because there is nothing like riding your bike naked while just a little intoxicated with
Doesn't it hurt
10,000
though?
with 10,000 other naked people.
Like, isn't it painful?
What, you mean the seats?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, no different than, honestly, it's no different than pants. It's not like I
Okay.
took the seat off. The seat is on.
It's true. That's very true. So and this is for subscribers of GoNaked, right?
Anybody can join us, but it tends to be the subscribers. One of the perks of being a subscriber is you get to join up or register before everybody else. So you get like a 48-hour period window to join before everybody else does. And the trip that we just did a couple of weeks ago in Puerto Vallarta sold out in 20 minutes the last time.
Yeah.
So our subscribers were really the ones who got that perk. And it's pretty much the same. Whenever there's something that's special, our subscribers get that perk first.
So and then how can people get to GoNaked?
Okay, so I'm warning y'all now, it is not safe for work. Okay. So if you don't want to see twigs and berries, don't go to www.gonakedmagazine.com. That's www.gonakedmagazine.com. And from there, you're going to find our member map where you can put in your address, your city and state, and find other male nudists in your area and reach out to them. You'll be able to purchase magazines. There are even a couple of free magazines that you can download. There are other resources such as our Telegram groups. But most importantly, jump on the mail list. I send out 3 emails a week, and those emails, those emails are basically small newsletters that let you know not only what's happening in Go Naked, but also with naked news around the globe and naked yoga classes and stuff like that. We also have a worldwide naked calendar. So if you're hosting or sponsoring a naked event, you can put it on our calendar. So there's a lot of cool resources there that are free.
Wow. And then you mentioned something that if you subscribe, you can get back issues. How far back can you go?
Since 2013. Whoa. So we just published our 59th magazine this month. The February issue will be the 60th magazine. So yeah, those go back to 2013. Plus, there's other resources and other magazines that are on there. The VIP members that pay $59 a year get all kinds of extra stuff that come out. We had videos that came out. We had some additional books that came out. They're all there. So yeah.
So community entrepreneurship is the 2 things that stand out to me, but just talking to you today, another one that came out was mental health. Why is that important to you?
I think one of the reasons that I keep myself so busy is to keep my demons at bay. If I am busy, they stay in their little boxes. And we live in this house, and we've had a number of people who have lived here over the years who have been diagnosed as bipolar. And so it is really important for me to take care of myself, take care of the people around me, and make sure that everybody is cool. And so we had this one story. We had a forum several months ago, and I've got a couple of moderators that watch the boards for me just in case. And this one guy at 11:30 at night says, "I'm not feeling good. I think I'm going to harm myself." And one of my moderators just happened to be on at that moment, screen captured it, and got his name. And about 3 minutes later, that guy who posted that deleted that post. Well, being the old bill collector that I am, I was able to find out who he was. And I called his house because he purchased a magazine before. I was like, hey, this is Nick from GoNaked Magazine. I see that you made this post. Tell me what's going on. And we were able to talk through things, get him some resources and stuff. And now every morning and every night before we go to bed, he checks in with me. And we've found him some professional help. He's seeing a therapist now. He might be doing some medications at some point, but he realizes that he just hit a point where he needed some support. And I'm really proud that our members are able to do that. We had another member who was on one of the forums at 11:30 the other night. And he said, again, I apologize for the noise. He said, I'm sorry, is anybody out there? I need somebody to talk to. And there were a couple of guys that were right there, ready to talk to him and, make sure that he was okay. We look out for each other. I love that. How can you not love that? Right. We are not therapists. We don't have medical backgrounds by and large, but we are there for each other. And if things escalate, we can get you to someplace where you can find help. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's great. And having some of the experiences I've had, I understand how important it is just to have that a place you can reach out to or someone you can reach out to, they're not just going to try to fix things. They're just going to listen. And that's really powerful to have. Just knowing you have that can give you another day that you might need to get the help you need,
Right. This weekend was a really rough weekend for me. I'm a giver. I love to solve problems. I love to help tech-wise. And this past week, I've been giving a lot. And Saturday morning, I woke up and before noon, I had 89 text messages and 50 emails that just needed my attention.
Wow.
And I was drained. And before the end of the day, there were nearly 400 emails and almost 200 text messages. Now, yesterday was Sunday, the Lord's Day, the day of rest. And before noon, I had 69 text messages.
Gosh.
And I had to send out just this blanket message saying, my vessel is empty. I have nothing else to give. I am asking everybody to give me a little bit of time. And I think it's important for us, and we talk about this with the magazine a lot, setting your own mental health boundaries, setting your own physical boundaries. If you're naked in a situation, having your own boundaries about what is okay and what's not, as far as physical touch, having boundaries around your mental health. It's all really important. I wasn't getting that from any of the other nudist organizations, so that's why I've created it myself. So maybe I'm selfish.
No, you saw something you needed and you felt that there might be another person that needed something similar. So I'm going to let you go, but I need to first off say, thanks for your answer. It was really succinct. Do this. This is what I do. This is how I do this. That was really helpful. And also for being so open and receptive to my invitation and for sharing and for the cool statues, of course. But with Go Naked and the business, and you actually just mentioned you had the experience you had yesterday. I know you're doing something you enjoy, but when you have days like yesterday, apart from telling people you just need time, when you do get that time, how do you take care of yourself?
If my first thing that I want to do is just get in bed, put myself under the covers and hide, but that really doesn't help. Then I want to go to the fridge and eat everything that I possibly can, but that doesn't help. One thing that really helped yesterday, and I didn't even think about this, is I had a friend who contacted me and said, can I come over? I need to do some writing and things are just crazy at my house. Can I just come over? I'll just be really, really quiet. And I was like, okay, fine. So he sat on one couch I sat on another, and we didn't talk to each other for 2 hours while I worked on magazine stuff. And just knowing that there was somebody there who didn't want anything from me, but was supportive, somebody who was just there. I realized that for as much as I needed to get away from people,
Mm,
I needed really to surround myself with the right people who
mm,
didn't require anything from me, people who just loved me for me. Um, and that was really, really restorative yesterday. And then in the evening, I went outside of the house like a big boy, and I stopped at the local store where one of my friends owns, and I saw him, and I got to spend 15 minutes with somebody who I love, who didn't want anything from me, and it was just a great experience. So for me, people drain me, but I also need people to fill me up on my terms. I know it's a
mm,
paradox, but it is what it is.
mm.
So
Wow. Nick, thanks for sharing, for coming to the sanctuary today. And definitely I'm gonna be I wouldn't say collide, have met, and we are gonna stay together for a very long time because I find you really interesting and intriguing, and I want to know even a lot more about you apart from GoNaked Magazine.
yeah, I would love that. And I would love to find out more about you, and maybe our paths will cross and we'll go have coffee or dinner sometime. I would love that. So just one more quick story, and this is how you fit into all of this. I have had this long-term obsession with when you find people that you admire, ask them to lunch or ask them for coffee. And
Ah.
uh, I've done that with about 4 or 5 people that I really, really wanted to meet. And most recently, about 4 weeks ago, there was this artist, Felix Dion, who is a Mexican queer artist who draws just the most sumptuous, erotic uh, drawings. Okay. And I really loved his artwork. And so he was in Mexico City. I was visiting Mexico City. I was
Mm,
like, hey, I would love just to meet you for 10 minutes in your place or take you to lunch. Is that possible? He immediately wrote back. He goes, absolutely. I would love that. That would be terrific. And so the day that I landed, um, I was feeling really sluggish. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was because the altitude being so much higher.
mm,
I texted him. I'm like, I just want to make sure we're on for Tuesday. He's like, yeah, but you know what? I'm having a gathering tonight at my place where everybody's getting naked, and I'm just dripping everybody in jewelry. It's a gin and jewelry night. Come on down. And for as much as I wanted to go, I just couldn't.
mm,
But the fact that I'm on his radar like that,
mm.
and then Tuesday we met up, and he gave me 2.5 hours of his time. So yeah, when you find people that you love and admire, reach out to them. Who knows? They might say yes.
Mm,
So
mm.
hopefully our paths will do the same.
Yeah, no, definitely. If I'm in your city, if you ever mind, we'll definitely do coffee at least.
Beautiful.
Man, thank you so much, Nick, and thanks for the amazing things you do with your magazine.
And thank you for highlighting all of us freaks and geeks on your show. We appreciate it so much. You have an amazing holiday. I love you so much.